As I just mentioned, a switch has a lot of traffic entering it from many ports. However, this traffic is normally headed for only a few outbound ports. So, with so much traffic competing for so few ports, some traffic will get delayed or discarded. QoS allows a switch to determine which traffic to pass first, which to delay, and, if necessary, which traffic to discard. A switch will only discard traffic when it is so busy that it can no longer store delayed traffic. Delayed traffic is typically stored in an area called a buffer. If the switch's buffers are full, all additional traffic is discarded. So just how does a network manager decide which traffic to prioritize? My examples in the last scene were pretty simplistic. Prioritize the boss and the fire alarm. These are good decisions, but there are a lot more factors to consider. Sometimes just adding more bandwidth might be enough to solve congestion problems. If the 100 megabit link is getting congested, then upgrading it to a gigabit link might solve the problem. If adding bandwidth does not work, then we can add QoS capabilities. First, we must understand what type of applications use the network. For instance, if I have a video conferencing application using the network that requires real-time communication between two sites, this is important and must get high priority. Email, on the other hand, is a low-priority application and can be delayed. So now, right away, it's easy to assign priorities to these two types of traffic. And, by the way, when I say delay, I'm only talking about a second or two. So, as the network manager, you have to consider several things when assigning QoS priority levels. You also need to know what applications are on the network. Once you know the applications, you can assign QoS based on the bandwidth and the delay requirements of each application. Also, you must consider the company's requirements for each application. For example, a company's sales database, though not time-sensitive, must get priority over web surfing because the database is critical for business. Let's imagine a network in which we have the following types of traffic. There's email, video conferencing, fire reporting system, network management applications, customer sales inquiries, web surfing, and normal corporate traffic. So, to what of these applications do I give priority? Well, once again, it depends on the company's needs. Here's just one example of a QoS priority assignment. The first priority goes to the fire reporting system because safety comes first. Video conferencing comes next. This application requires high bandwidth and is time-sensitive. Next comes customer sales inquiries. We need to sell to stay in business. Network management gets the next level of priority. We need to know if the network fails. Corporate traffic is next. It's necessary for day-to-day business functions. Email gets low priority. We need it to communicate, but email is not affected by delay. And finally, the lowest priority goes to web surfing. You can do this at home, and it's often not necessary for business. Now, this is just an example of how I might assign priority. You can have different ideas because each network has its own unique requirements. Okay, now that we know what QoS is and why it's useful, let's learn some of the benefits of using it in a network.